providing resources and comfort to caregivers. This is Caregiver Crossing.
Oh, you start.
Hey, everybody. This is Caregiver Crossing.
It is.
If you are a first-time listener, we want to let you know that we are a show brought to you by Joy's House, presented in partnership with our friends at Cardon and Associates. And we are here every week to talk about all things caregiving. And hi, I'm your host, Tina McIntosh.
Hi, Tina Bina.
Hi.
Terry Stacy here.
And our lovely producer.
I'm Noah.
And we have a special guest today.
I know. Pretty girl.
You want me to introduce her?
Please.
So in the room, about 22 years ago, I had my first child, and she's here today. And she's 22, and her name's Maya. Hi, Maya.
Hi.
Glad to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Not because she's an expert in caregiving, other than I want her to realize that one day her role will be to care for me.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, so you got to get really close to that mic. And right now, I'd just like you to say, yes, Mom, I will take care of you one day.
Yes, Mom, Webster will take care of you one day.
Oh, I believe that Noah can fix that mistake.
Yeah, I'm going to edit your name in.
Webster is her brother. So, Noah, you just got back from a vacation.
I did. I recently got to go to New York City. I went once when I was a kid, but this was my first time going as an adult, and it absolutely incredible.
Could you live there?
I probably could. I think I probably could live there. It was one of the most fun times I've ever had in my life. We got to go to a Yankees game. We saw some shows. Went to Central Park.
Ooh, what shows did you see?
I saw this show called Oh Mary. It's really big right now, and it is hilarious.
How much do you
Probably
pay for a ticket in New York City now to see a show?
I don't even think I want to say it. On
No,
the air.
you can say it. I paid a lot of tickets for NASCAR races, so go ahead. Let me hear you.
Upward. I mean, we got pretty high seats, and they were still upwards like of $100.
Oh, okay. That's not terrible.
Too bad.
Less
Not
than
too
I
bad,
thought you
but
were
they
going to
like,
say.
I want to say second row to last. So
Yeah.
we could see the show, but we were.
But you could touch the ceiling.
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. There's something intimate about that.
Exactly. Yeah.
There really is. There really is. Listen, that's not bad. I mean, you got to see a Broadway show, and there's nothing like that, no matter
really
what you
is.
see,
Yeah.
I think.
It doesn't matter what show. I mean, it's going to be amazing.
Did you see something else?
Not another show, but we saw a Yankees game. We went to the Met, and my girlfriend absolutely loved that. They have a new exhibit right now called Sleeping Beauties, and it's just a bunch of like dresses and garments from overtime that nobody can really wear anymore. They're absolutely beautiful.
Still, big time celebrities, movie stars. You mean?
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
Marilyn Monroe may have worn.
Yes, probably worn once or twice. Never
What'd you
again.
say?
Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, okay.
I bet there's something in there
Did you
from
think I
her.
said Marilyn Manson?
I didn't know who you said, and I was like, I don't know that person, but I was trying
you
to
know
play
Marilyn
it off.
Monroe?
I do know who she is. Norma Jean.
heavens.
I
That's
know
it.
who she
You
is.
know.
Yeah.
Bombshell.
I just got
Bombshell.
back from a big vacation, and it was a memorial vacation. So I think many of you know my biological father passed away last year, and my brother and sister and I, when he passed, my brother said, I really want the three of us to take a sibling vacation in memory of Dad. So we very intentionally planned it, and we ended up at Jackson, Wyoming. Have you been?
No.
Terry.
But how did you end up there? What was in Jackson, Wyoming? What did you want? What said, let's go to Jackson, Wyoming?
So with great intention, and I think this is important for listeners too, like with great intention, we planned the trip. We wanted there to be components of nature. Animals were special to our dad. We wanted alone time and time together. We wanted to have good food and drink. We wanted all the things. We also knew we wanted to release some of his ashes. He got around just fine when he was alive. So we figured, why not sprinkle him all over the United States? And so I have a good story for you. You ready for some story time?
I'm ready.
So we took in a little, like a double Ziploc bag, and we took the cremation certificate because my sister carried it on the plane, his remains on the plane, his ashes. And we were floating down a river with a guide, and I won't say what river just so nobody can arrest me. We were floating down a river with a guide, this adorable young man that we just fell in love with. And he was rowing behind me. It ended up just being my brother and sister and me in the boat. So it was perfect, right? And eagles everywhere. Like, you guys, we saw every single eagle in the state of Wyoming on that trip. And so we were in our place. My sister was very good and said, can we take a couple minutes just to be? So we got quiet. And we're going down the river, and an eagle, a juvenile eagle, comes flying right toward us and then veers off and goes up in a tree. So I lean up to my sister and said, get Dad out. like, get dad out. And she goes, okay. So she reaches in her bag, gets out the little baggie, opens it up. She takes some of his ashes and very gently drops her hand in the water as we go by, and the ashes kind of, float off. And then she gives it to me, and I take some and I sprinkle them in, and we're like, see you, bud. And then my brother, being a total dude, takes the bag and like dumps half of it over the side of the boat. So I say to the young man driving, we'll call him Billy. Okay. I said, Billy, divert your eyes. And we know this is illegal. This is important to us. And we don't want to get you in any trouble. And he said, oh, okay, whatever, happens on the river stays on the river. And then a few minutes later, we start talking about dad and his ashes and how that was important to us. And Terry, he said, oh my. And we turn around and look at him, and I can see the stress just rinsing off of his body. And he said, you guys, those were your dad's ashes? I thought you were doing cocaine. But think about it. I was like, Billy, divert your eyes.
Please,
this is probably illegal. We don't want to get you in any trouble. So we gave poor young Billy
And there was a baggie. Yeah. And there was...
He was probably scared for his life.
Well,
that is very funny.
I think
that is very funny. And I'm sure your dad loved this story.
My dad would have been over the moon. I mean, like, it would have been the best
perfect
for him.
Oh, I think that's so beautiful. What a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah. So, that was something... Not the cocaine story. It was not cocaine again.
Right. But just the laughter afterwards. I'm sure you all just, which was needed to be included in that moment.
So Maya, where would you take my ashes? If I were cremated, where would you take me?
Would definitely find a willow tree somewhere.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll finally take you to Maine.
Oh, that's a good idea. Because she's always wanted to go to Maine and never got to go to Maine.
My dad won't take her there.
And then you'd be there forever.
You would be there in a place wow.
That is a great answer.
It's such
a Jeff,
answer.
I hope you're listening to the show right now.
Because you'd like to go to Maine while you're still alive.
I would. Do you want to go to Maine, Terry?
Not really.
Oh.
I'll join you. If we can get some food. I like seafood.
I like food.
Everybody wants to go to Maine. It's kind of funny you say that because that is a thing right now. Is Maine. Everybody wants to go see Maine.
I had a lobster roll for the first time last night.
And it was
amazing.
1
I
out
can't
of 10.
imagine. It was like a 8.2, and I can't imagine how good it would be in Maine.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
Did you have that locally?
I had that in
you can't say
Fishers.
where. You can't say where.
I did have it locally.
Yeah, it was local.
It was local. Probably local lobster too. I mean, everything about that sandwich was
It
local.
said it was from Maine.
You
By
said it was a
Maine, I mean the
lobster?
White River. Okay, we have to take a break. But we will be back, and we've got a guest coming from the Restoracy, I believe,
Yes,
right?
we do.
So
Very
looking forward to
exciting.
having Brian with us.
Okay, you're listening to Caregiver Crossing. This is a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you as a service of Joyce House in partnership with Cardon and Associates. With locations in Broad Ripple and near the University of Indianapolis campus, Joyce House provides exceptional day services for individual living with a life-altering diagnosis and compassionate support for family caregivers throughout the community. At Joyce House, they believe that everyone deserves the right to live their best life, regardless of their abilities. Learn more about our adult day and also caregiver support services by calling 317-254-0828 or by visiting joycehouse.org today. That website address again is joycehouse.org. Stick around. We'll be back with more Caregiver Crossing right after this.
Well, we're back here in Caregiver Crossing. We're your hosts, and we're in here with our producer. I don't know. I'm just trying to read things, and I think I just read that all wrong. But I'm Tina McIntosh.
I'm Noah Taylor.
And we are so excited to bring in our friend Dustin. Now, Dustin, everybody says your name differently. What's your last name?
Ziegler.
So I know this, but then other people say Ziegler, and then I'm like...
I'll respond to all. It's Ziegler. I've been called Ziegler, Ziegler.
Too many options. Now
I
I'm going
know.
to get confused.
I know.
I've known Dustin for a long time, but the capacity he's in right now is why he is here with us in Caregiver Crossing Studio. He is doing incredible work as the Director of Caregiver Advocacy and Support at Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And so he is such a passionate advocate for family caregivers, always has been. I think I've known you for a couple of decades now. And always has been. And the light that he gets to shine for solutions with family caregivers through his work at Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is really significant. And so, hi,
Hello.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here. Yeah, thank you.
So we've been talking on the show about pathways, and it's always one of those where we're like, what's going to happen when we say pathways, pathways for aging? It's a new Indiana medical program that's created a lot of interest. You've probably heard about it here on the show. You've read about it. And I would like to hear from Dustin, his perspective on what is Pathways for Aging in Indiana and why is it so important right now?
Sure. So Pathways for Aging in Indiana, it kicked off July 1, and it is a program that serves older adults age 60 and over who are Medicaid recipients. So if you're 60 and on Medicaid, you're going to come on to this Pathways program. And the goal really is to keep people at home and independent and optimal health for as long as possible. It brings along your traditional health plan stuff. You got your physician, all the things that you have with a traditional health
makes
plan.
sense. Yep.
With Pathways, though, in addition to those services, particularly if you are what we call a certain level of care, like a nursing facility level of care, you are eligible to receive additional wraparound services. Things like transportation, home delivered meals, caregiver support, all those things that we know really optimize health and wellness for individuals and are crucial to keeping them in an independent, safe environment of their choosing for as long as possible.
I'm going to pause you right there, Dustin, because, so again, if you didn't catch his title, he's the Director of Caregiver Advocacy and Support at Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And everything you're saying is so person-centered care. And I love that because I think when we think about large healthcare entities and insurance companies, we don't always feel like that's the case, right? That you really care about the individual. And you said keep people in their homes as long as they can with wraparound services, which that term kind of gets thrown out sometimes, but you nailed it, right? Transportation and caregiver services, and there are other things that are in there. And so what have you and Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield been able to bring to light in this area?
Well, I'd say first and foremost, we have a whole person approach. So, when we talk about those wraparound services, in addition to what we call the physical health, your traditional, medical prescription, those types of things, we know all those things intersect with each other. And we know, for example, you could have the best doctor in the world prescribe the best medication. But what happens to that individual when they leave the four walls of that doctor's office? Do they have transportation to have even gotten to the doctor to begin with? Do they have transportation to the grocery? Can they afford groceries? Can they afford their prescription? Do they have heat in the winter and air, cool in the summer?
I mean, are you hearing this, Noah?
There's so many things that you wouldn't even think about.
Right. I mean, and like when people think about these big entities, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, like you're hearing Dustin talk about all the things that matter that we try and scream from like the mountaintop all the time. And it just, I don't know, you just continue to impress me. And I love that you're using your voice to amplify the importance of these wraparound services too.
Yeah, it's the good old social determinants of health, which we're hearing that a lot more, particularly in the medical community, which has been a hill that we've been dying on for a while. Mm-hmm. But recognizing their evidence shows 80% of health outcomes is associated with those social determinants of health, the things that we just talked about, nutrition, socialization, access to various things. Only about 20% is actually medical care. And so, again, that's where you get into this role where, when they leave the four walls of the doctor's office, even from a caregiver standpoint, does the caregiver have what they need? Does the caregiver have the skills and proficiency to care for their loved one? All those things very heavily influence health outcomes up to about 80%. So while obviously extremely crucial is the doctor and the pharmacy and all those things, all these other things that go on in the real world, if you could step into the home of somebody, you might begin to realize, they're not being non-compliant with their medication because they want to be. There's all these other barriers in place that are non-medical, but that we can address so that those medical components are able to be maximized and offer, the best quality care possible.
Okay, so here's a question then. What should Pathways for Aging members and their caregivers expect from Anthem?
We have a big focus on the whole person, which again kind of goes back to what we were talking about. We don't look at just certain aspects of the person. We look at the whole person, the physical health, the behavioral health, the social care, the environment they live in, their relationships, all these different things that factor in. We take all that into account and we meet them where they're at. So everybody is different. There is no vanilla solution, particularly with the older adult population and sometimes the complexity that goes along with that. And so the first thing we do is factor all those things in. And we ask about goals and about, you of Tina, who we're caring for, what are your goals for care? What do you want?
I mean, imagine that. Someone asking you what your goals are and helping you get there.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. I'm almost embarrassed to say that's trailblazing, but it really is. Like, Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, you as Director of Caregiver Advocacy and Support, like, you are all trailblazing in this area of caregiving and how we provide better services to members for insurance and, healthcare programs.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have to take a break here in a minute, but I do want to make sure that people, if they want to know more about Pathways for Aging with Anthem, that they have a phone number. And then we'll repeat all of this again when we come back just to make sure. But do you have that phone number?
I do, yeah. You can learn more about Pathways for Aging. The best way right now is just to call 1-833-621-3782. And that's available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay, so again, if you want to learn more about Pathways for Aging with Anthem, 1-833-621-3782. And then what's that first step? Is it just calling that number for people?
Yeah, I think so. I think, things are still evolving a little bit. And it's a complex program. And so I think the first step is just to do your due diligence, to call that number. And you can just simply inquire about, I'm interested in this program. What do I need to do? What are my options? And you'll get connected to the right resources in the right direction.
And this is whether or not you can be the Anthem member or the person you're caring for, the Medicaid waiver, aging and disabled over the age of 60.
Sure.
Right.
And we see that a lot. We see the informal caregiver, maybe a spouse, a child, a neighbor, friend, whoever, serving that role a lot for their loved one.
Yeah. Okay. We'll be back. Dustin Ziegler with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield is going to stick around with us. Again, that number, if you want to inquire, is 1-833-621-3782. And we'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you as a service of Joyce House in partnership with Cardon and Associates. With locations in Broad Ripple and near the University of Indianapolis campus, Joyce House provides exceptional day services for individuals living with a life-altering diagnosis and compassionate support for family caregivers throughout the community. At Joyce House, we believe that everyone deserves to live their best life, regardless of their abilities. Learn more about our adult day and caregiver support services by calling us at 317-254-0828 or by visiting joycehouse.org today. All right, stick around. We'll be right back with more Caregiver Crossing shortly.
We're back on Caregiver Crossing. Again, we've got Dustin Ziegler in the studio with us. He is with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, and his official title is the Director of Caregiver Advocacy and Support, which I've known him for a long time. The perfect title. Dustin, you have always had a philosophy of care that has really been valued throughout all of your, professional life. I know you've brought a lot of that to Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then you've integrated it in with who Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield is. How are those coming together, and what does that look like?
Yeah, a big focus really on, I mentioned the whole health component and the social determinants of health. That is crucial. That is medicine today, for the most part. But also, particularly with the Pathways program and with this population, a strong focus on informal caregivers and caregiving. We recognize, we appreciate, we have sympathy, all the things about who these caregivers are, what they're going through, and how we can do our best to support them. So, specifically on the caregiver side, we're trying to create a philosophy, even within Anthem, that we look at what we call a dyad approach to care for members. And a dyad approach to care for members basically means, we have the member, and that's the one who, for lack of better words, is on paper that we're serving. But if that member has a caregiver, we know the impact that caregiving has on caregivers, mentally, physically. And so we know that a lot of times the member's only is about as good as the loved one who's caring for them. And if that person goes down, their member's going down with them. So we put as much of an emphasis on informal caregivers as we do the member, and we look at them as a whole too, as kind of like as a unit. And so, and that can come in a number of varieties. Caregiving is very, very, very individualized.
For sure.
You could have 5,000 people and not 2 of them would have the exact same situation, story, anything like that. So kind of like with the member, our philosophy that we're building is looking at the person-centered approach to the caregiver too. As a caregiver, as you as a caregiver for your loved one, what are your goals for care for your loved one? What are your goals for care as the caregiver? What do you want to see? What is realistic to you? And how can we?
Good question. What's realistic? Good question.
And how can we help you get there?
Yeah. So how do you do that? Like through what services?
Well, we gotta be broad. We gotta be innovative, and we're building out just a portfolio of various things, knowing that not one thing may be perfect for everybody, but trying to just knowing that different people need different things, so making sure that we have something there for those various needs. I mean, so you could be a 16-year-old caregiver, you could be a 106-year-old caregiver, and everything in between. Your circumstances, you could be caring for somebody who's really, overall they're relatively healthy, they just need a little help and support. And so we look at that. You could be caring for somebody who you are just going down with the struggle with that caregiving. You're so stressed, you're so overwhelmed, you're getting sick yourself. We look at that too, and make sure that we try to provide resources and supports to just minimize those challenges and those stressors, and again, make sure that those caregivers have what they need, including self-care. You have a lot of people say, well, you just need to take care of yourself. And as you mentioned, Tina, that's great advice. What does that mean?
I'm telling you, just get some sleep, exercise, and eat your greens. Maybe drink some water. You'll be fine.
Exactly.
Not right. I'm being snarky.
It's not how it works.
It's not how it works. Well, you mentioned all of that, and it makes me think about the isolation and depression, the suicide or suicidal ideation that comes for a lot of family caregivers and care partners. And so National Depression and Mental Health Screening Month is just right around the corner. And what are some red flags that caregivers should watch for in their own mental health or in that of their loved ones? And, what do they do?
Yeah. Well, as far as red flags as a caregiver, kind of your traditional, and increasing anxiety, increasing depression, different components like that. But one of the big things that is currently a struggle with caregiving in our world today is identifying as a caregiver. And
because I'm not a caregiver, I'm just the daughter. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I took a vow for my wife.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing. I'm not a caregiver. Their identity remains the husband who's took a vow for his wife. But that individual is also a caregiver too. And research and evidence demonstrates that the sooner that a caregiver recognizes and self-identifies as a caregiver, the more likelihood they're going to be open to receiving supports, which is obviously then they're going to benefit, from those types of things. So one of our first steps is just that. And that, again, that's where meeting somebody where they're at helps, In their circumstances too, if the house is burning down, you're not worried about the little things. And so on the other end, just be how individualized it is, it could be, we could offer all these things, toolkits and connection to resources and stuff, but they may say, that is all perfect. When am I going to get the time to go through those things. By the way, nothing matters until I can afford to get my heat back on. You know, like they're tunnel vision, and rightfully so. They got to take out. We have to meet their most basic needs before then we can begin to address more and more things. So it's a very wide and diversified approach, and we try to be proactive too.
Yeah, when you say all that, it makes me think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and how important that is, and how true it is for every individual, no matter where we come from. But okay, so we only have a couple more minutes, and I'm going to beg you to stick around for at least a part of our next segment.
Sure.
Caregiver Way.
Yeah.
What does that, I mean, Caregiver Way we talk about here on the show, although we want to hear your words on it, but how is Caregiver Way related to Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Well, we're thrilled and have been thrilled to work with you and develop an exclusive partnership between Anthem and Caregiver Way through Joyce House, and to us, it's a hallmark program for us.
I mean, this is the part where balloons fall from the ceiling. We have a partnership with Anthem, and yeah, that's right. Oh, Noah has discovered the buttons. By the way,
Buttons are important.
Happening. So, yeah, we're thrilled to be partnering up with you to provide Caregiver Way to Anthem members.
Yeah,
I mean, and to get the word out.
Yeah, and to get the word out. And we recognize, the value that brings. There's a lot out there. Fortunately, caregiving is becoming more and more in the forefront. That also means more and more people are developing different things. But we just haven't seen anything like Caregiver Way. It's essentially a one-stop shop for caregivers, for our caregivers to learn about just a complete array of topics, but more than just reading content. You're hearing it from renowned professionals who are peer-reviewed, who are people we know in our communities as leaders. And so you can get vignettes from that you can watch about all kinds of topics, ranging from self-care to even some of the most important things that's hard to get in front of people is actually how do I physically care for my loved one? I have no background in healthcare or medicine or anything else. I don't know how to transfer somebody, or I don't know how to try to lift them out of a wheelchair without taking my own back out, those types of things.
So that's part of self-care, by the way. Okay, wait.
Right.
And listen, I don't want to stop you talking about Caregiver Way, but we do have to take a break. So we'll come back and we'll tell you more about what this relationship looks like and how you can get into Caregiver Way as well. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you weekly by Joyce House in partnership with Cardon and Associates. We're here every week to bring you support, education, and hopefully a good laugh. Visit caregivercrossingradio.org to connect with us, hear past episodes, learn more about caregiver support resources in the community, and much, much more. That website again is caregivercrossingradio.org. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Caregiver Crossing shortly.
All right, you got us. We're back here on Caregiver Crossing. I'm Tina McIntosh in studio with our wonderful producer, Noah Taylor, and Dustin Ziegler, who is now a part of us and will remain here forever. Dustin is the director of caregiver advocacy and support at Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield and is kind enough to stick around during this segment. Before we start asking any more questions about our relationship and partnership with Caregiver Way, I do want to remind you of the phone number. If you want to call Anthem and look into the Indiana Pathways program, you can call 1-833-621-3782. I think Noah will also make sure that it gets on our Facebook page, if that's okay.
It will be on there.
Perfect. 833-621-3782. You can call Anthem, inquire. We are getting ready to come into open enrollment, but I will tell you, this is such a new program. Pathways in Indiana is such a new program that things are a little bumpy right now. We have to have a little mercy on Anthem, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and others who are really helping to roll this program out, because ultimately it's all about personal choices. And I think if you've been with us listening to Dustin, you understand that Anthem has that at the forefront of everything they're doing, is how can we keep people in their homes with the people they love the most for the longest amount of time with everything that the, let's say, individual living with the diagnosis and their informal caregiver needs. Did I say it right?
I think you nailed it. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
All right. So Caregiver Way, we were talking before the break about the fact that you can come in and find content in Caregiver Way. It's how to do the things that everybody's telling you should be doing. Mm-hmm. So how to do the what, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's transferring your loved one, redirecting somebody during a meal, what in the world is self-care and how do I do it? There's a legal and financial section. And then the last two are end of life, which in our culture, we don't really like to talk about. We need to. And life after caregiving, which I would imagine for you as an insurance company, as a healthcare program and carrier, like it's important that when somebody identifies as a caregiver, you talked about that you support them through that time. And then that there is life, a full, purposeful, wonderful life after caregiving as well. So, I mean, you're just doing a lot of good. So thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, we're trying.
You're doing it. You're doing the thing. There's also in Caregiver Way a community that I think is worth mentioning that is, am I allowed to say like Facebook, but different?
I think so.
It just did.
As long as you say it's not exactly that.
No, it's not Facebook.
It's different.
Facebook is special and way different. It is Facebook like within Caregiver Way, only for Caregiver Way members, where you can have forum conversations with other people that are in our ecosystem, if you will. And we've been testing it internally at Joy's house for a couple of months. I have felt empowered and educated, and I feel like I have a community of caregivers in there. And these are people I work with like down the hall. So if you haven't been in that part of it yet, we have to let you in. It's gated. It's a gated community. But it is really, really wonderful. So thank you again, Dustin, to you for believing in Caregiver Way. And to Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Sure, yeah. And I think that peer-to-peer support component within this is really crucial too, because it's very, very challenging for some of these caregivers to even get out to get their mail down the end of the driveway.
Yes.
So to be able to have a platform to engage with others, to socialize with others from the comfort of their home, near their loved one is big. And also cross-country, long-distance caregiving. This is an opportunity to engage and learn, even if you're not right here in Indiana.
Yeah, there's a caregiver assessment in there. There's some self-reflection opportunity. I mean, if you are not familiar with what we're talking about, you can always email me, tina@joyshouse.org, but also call Anthem, inquire about pathways. And so 833-621-3782. All right, before we let you go, finally, like he's packed up, he's ready to leave. Not really, but before we let Dustin go, looking ahead for Anthem, are there any new resources or programs that you all are looking to roll out that might, I don't know, further help caregivers to feel maybe less overwhelmed and more supported?
Yeah, there are, and it's going to be evolving as time goes on. We're just kicking things off. Obviously, Caregiver Way is a big one for us. That's our hallmark partnership. But we're doing some internal stuff. We just developed resources of our own, toolkits. We have a website through the member portal, so that when somebody becomes a member, they can get access to that website and the caregiver. There's a bunch of resources on there as well. We have some big visions and big plans. Again, it's so individualized. There's not a silver bullet for everybody, and so with our commitment to caregiving and our philosophy of how we care for caregivers, we're going to be perpetual in driving home what we offer caregivers, and even just to the point of talking about it, and talking about caregiving, and working with folks to self-identify, self-care, and just those little things add up a lot. To respite, providing respite so somebody can get away for a little while to go, walk around the park or go to a movie. Those are all factors that, by taking care of the caregiver, it's going to optimize the health and wellness of the member and their loved one.
Well, I'm glad you are sitting at the, in the leadership role with us and the efforts in Indiana, and I have every confidence we're going to be better as a state and individuals. Because of it. I had another thought, and it was, also use your care manager and what's a case manager? What am I?
Well, we call it case or care management.
Care management. Okay, I just can't ever get it right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Talk with your care manager when you're a member or your loved one is a member that you're caring for. You have a case manager. Use them. Mm-hmm. Tell them, let them in, don't hide things. That's one of the biggest issues I think we have. So we just have to be upfront about it. And like you said, have the conversation. So Any closing in like 30 seconds or less? What else you got?
Well, I should mention too, when we talk about what we're developing for caregivers, we are developing on our own caregiver staffing program. So we'll have internal folks. They're called caregiver guides that can meet one-on-one individually. It's almost like a care manager, but it's for the caregiver. And that's somebody who can connect one-on-one, meet the person where they're at, help them identify resources, navigate the system, whatever it may be. So those are the type of investments that we're looking for and that we're doing with our program.
Well, Dustin Ziegler, thank you.
Thank you.
For being an amazing human and for caring about so many people who are listening right now. You don't know them by name, but you've got their back.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Yep.
All right. So we have to close the show. And we just want to remind you that you can contact us for more information about any of this conversation, anything else related to caregiving and adult day. You can do that at 317-254-0828 at Joy's house. And then we also just want to thank our friends again at Cardon and Associates. They are wonderful humans with over 20 communities that they own, operate, and manage in the Midwest, and a lot of time in senior living experience. And so they are wonderful humans. They care about what we're doing too. They care about you. And so for now, we got to go. Until next time, take good care of each other.